sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore. If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf violent? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop them. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate, he's violent.
He has literally leaped over the understanding. The only way you can understand why people aren't doing certain things, Dowell, is if you actually ask the individuals who suffered from it. Then you can have a much better understanding as to why. Then you can have a much better understanding as to why. Let's go ahead and get to timestamp 4:38. I want to start right there. I want you guys to hear what he had to say. I'm pretty sure some of you guys have already listened in on this particular video, but I thought it was pretty interesting how he asked his questions or how he made his statements. Let's go ahead and listen in to what he has to say real quick. Let's go.
I've always said this all the way across the ministry, and this is how people can end up in bondage. I would say, listen, there's an open door policy to every leader, including myself. And if you got something going on, you don't think that, it's just not quite right, use it. Well, they would never do that. And mind you, I will often frequent these communities. And at times I walk to the brothers and sisters, I say, y'all got anything y'all want to discuss with me, anything? Nope, everything's fine, when everything really wasn't fine. And so the leaders, what they would do is they will say, well, Pastor Dowell is coming, and if you got anything to say, you may want to discuss it with me right now, because you want to wait till he gets here to discuss it. You may not like the judgment that may come from it. And what it is that what they're doing is they're trying to intimidate the people through fear.
All right, so now he's talking about Mitchell, okay? Let's be frank. And he's not going to name names, but I'll tell you who he's talking about. He's talking about Mitchell. He's talking about Mitchell and how he handled his community, how he handled his folks, how he handled his people. And can I disagree with him on this? No, I cannot. You understand what I'm saying? I can't disagree with Dowell on this position that he's having when it comes to Mitchell, when it comes to the way Mitchell conducts himself with his people. Me, myself, I've been a direct result of that. Honestly, I was trying to avoid Mitchell in the conflict that I was trying to resolve because I knew that Mitchell would take a position that would undercut it, that would sweep it under the rug, things like that. I knew that he would do so, right? So I was trying my best to avoid him, in which Dowell himself still sent Mitchell to handle the situation. It went to Dowell directly, but Mitchell was still sent by Dowell. Now, this is the reason why I know it, because, like I said, Mitchell did the same thing with myself. He swept it under the rug. He made excuses for the whole thing, and it was just to protect the individual people that he was currently trying to protect. Whoever his boys was, whoever he ran with, he was just trying to insulate and protect that situation. Didn't want to make himself look bad because, of course, he was supposed to be watching over or overseeing the community or the people, the group that's in Houston. He's supposed to oversee that group. So he didn't want to make himself look bad. And he also didn't want to make other individuals in that group look bad. So he was able to, effectively, make an excuse and sweep it under the rug. So this is who he's talking about. But let's continue, though, of course, because he's talking about him and others in this video.
To not mention some of the things and the failures of some portion of leadership traits, or we're going to call it that, let's say shortcomings that was going on in that particular community. And they would come up with creative ways like, hey, I think I'm missing the mark or something like that. Here's Pastor Dowell's phone number. You can pick up and call him. But I'm telling you one thing, you better have your ducks in order and you better make sure you're right because, man, you're going to deal with the repercussions. What they were doing was massaging these people to fear.
And that's absolutely right. Massaging to fear, to understand that you better be sure that whatever you got going on needs to be way up here and everything, to be able to shut their mouths, to be able to control their speech, to be able to control them with anything that they had issues with. That's the reason why a lot of this wickedness was able to perpetuate in this particular ministry. It was able to do so based on the leadership that was in place during the time, or at the time, and currently right now to this day. Kabir Bajabiya Miller ain't no better. He's the same type of person. You hear the testimonies over on Brother Jordan's channel and platform. It's the same situation of manipulation, of coercion into being able to do what their will is. There's nothing different. You understand what I'm saying? And those who are a part of this ministry and partook in that, right, have now since come out of it. A lot of the leaders have come out of it and now are trying to walk in healing, right? In which that's something totally different. But they realized what the wickedness truly was. At the time, they were in, I guess, alignment with it, in agreement with it. So my thing is that this still takes place in Straightway Truth Ministries. It still takes place in other cults, religious cults, Scientology, other places. You understand what I'm saying? At Methodist Church. It's still going on. Jehovah's Witnesses. These people are still doing the same exact thing, using the same exact tactics. This thing came back from all the way back from the beginning guys like R.G. Stair and all these other people who are coming up like that. These are the same tactics, the same motives, the same moves. To where the people who are truly seeking the face of the Most High are the ones who must suffer because they're looking for fellowship to grow with the Father, to grow a relationship with him. But he's identifying stuff based on individuals who's already left his ministry. No, the leadership that's currently there are still perpetuating the same evil. That's still silencing the voice of the people. That's still tearing people down, tearing their families apart, separating individuals, right? Usurping the authority of the Most High Yah, not truly operating in the spirit of the Most High, but pretending and masquerading as individuals who are supposed leaders in the Hebrew Israelite community. I say no, absolutely not. So now you're talking about individuals who left, but truly is still present within your ministry. And the things that you need to do to enact and effect a change, you're not willing to do it. Or are you, Dowell? Are you willing to do it? You made mention of how I invited you on. Of course, I never begged you. But of course, you made mention of how I invited you onto the Warsheep podcast. Listen, that was an opportunity. That was an opportunity of a lifetime for you, Dowell. As we take a look at a lot of different things that's going on the land, not only this prior feast, we saw the photo, of course. You got half the people that you had the prior year. Half of the people dropped out of this ministry. Half of them. Probably a little over half. The numbers has dwindled down. And I believe that the reason why that you coming onto the Warsheep podcast would have been a great look for you was to answer for some of the things that you've been accused of, but also to restore and regain faith, to regain respect and honor from the people, understanding that when you say you truly don't duck no smoke because Mama Dowell and Papa Dowell didn't raise no cowards, that you truly mean that and you stand by that and you give it an opportunity for people to be restored and have peace in what mess that you've influenced. And the reason why I said you have influenced it is because a lot of it you didn't create directly. A lot of it, the people you've placed in leadership created the mess. And your lack of care, your lack of attention, your lack of wanting to be charitable, to show forth the adequate amount of attention is what influenced the mess. Because now these particular individuals believe that they can do whatever they would like to do. And you won't check them. So the people will gain confidence in you as being the head honcho at Straightway if you stepped in and checked your leadership whenever they were out of pocket, out of line. And you did so in such a fashion that was unbiased. That shows that you are somebody that's for the people. If the people are hurting, we all are hurting. And if you step in to be that man who's going to check your own leadership about things that they're doing wrong for the people, then guess what? They can regain more confidence in you as a leader. So while you're teaching how to be a leader, lessons to be learned as a leader, there's another lesson for you. Stepping in. Let's continue, though. Let's continue to listen to what he has to say.
And in this, they were saying, look, I'm close to Pastor Dowell. I know how he deals and stuff like this. And I'm telling you, what y'all got right now, man, it ain't too valid. But, hey, you can go ahead and do it if you want to. See, what they did was they put a stumbling block in front of them. And try to paint me in a light or paint me in a picture that it's really not me at all. And of course, I've been used to that. And most people I ask, why come, lately I just don't even revile anymore, revile back anything, because I want to make sure that when the Most High does his work, that I'm not interfering in it, because he does a real good job. I've got to follow, and I have followed my own advice like that. Lions does not concern themselves with the opinions of dogs. Or I just don't, because there's no need in it. There's no need in it. My life is not centered and focused around people who have fallen away and people who have deceived the hearts of the simple by good words and fair speeches. There's a lot of people that have reached out and
I don't believe it was good words and fair speeches. I believe it was your actions. You take a look at Big Screen B, he used nothing but your own language and what you said against you. It ain't no good words and fair speeches. It's just shedding light on the darkness, the truth of it, the reality of it. Some people got to get shook awake. Sometimes you got to provide the shock factor, the awe factor for people to say, you know what, something is truly wrong here. There truly is a problem here. But using your own details against you, never said that you were 501c3. In fact, you adamantly spoke against 501c3s. Later to be found out in your sin of lying, you are truly a 501c3, right? So that's one of the biggest things. We can't place the blame or shift the blame on people who left your ministry. The buck stops with you. You can be able to insult as many individuals that you placed in positions of leadership, but you're still the one who chose to put them there. You're still the one who made that decision. You're still the one who ordained them. Regardless, nevertheless, it still reflects back on you, because you're the leader. You're the one who wants to be the head honcho. All of that burden is on you now. So it's easy to come talk about them, but what part do you play in this? Let's continue.
we know that they see what is going on. They've been fooled. I've been fooled once, and I'll never, ever, ever be fooled again. And I may bring some of these brothers on and let them give you their own experiences and stuff. But the one thing I've learned, that if you are a jackal, if you're some type of bandit, and if you're running dirty, the first thing you want to do is get out in front of the story, persuade and sway the minds of people as much as you can against the one who they ought to trust in. Get them to build up a negative connotation, negative feeling, negative emotion, and even take on your offense. And then that way you can defile people as they go. And so that way.
So it sounds like he just gave away his game plan, his MO, right? That's what he likes to do. He likes to get out in front of the story. That's the reason why he came out and started talking about the situation over in Australia before my brother Abraham in Australia could be able to come out and talk about his own situation. He wanted to get out in front of the story. Lied to everybody. We brought the receipts. He said he never spoke to anybody, right? Not even one time. Didn't even speak to the sister. And it showed you in these receipts of him adamantly speaking to this sister through Marco Polo. So this is what I'm trying to understand is, why are you giving your own game plan out to individuals, right? Why are you giving your own game plan out? That's your game plan. That's your MO. Nobody has to get in front of any story. Who's truly running dirty here? You understand what I'm saying? Who's truly running dirty? Let's continue.
If I or anybody else says anything other than that, that's it. They're already topped off to the zenith with offense. And that's the one thing that Pastor Dowell has always said this. And that goes with a lot of people on the internet that actually chooses to try to come out the straight way. They don't even know us. They don't even know me. Don't even know us, don't even know me. Bearing false witness is one of the commandments that people just flat out ignore, but the Most High is not ignoring. But nevertheless, there ain't a person out there, not one person on this earth can tell you what I have done negatively or wrong to them personally. They just went and took on somebody else's offense.
Wow. So in this, I'm gonna assume that he's talking about myself. He's talking about the Warsheep podcast. He's talking about that and I'm taking on somebody else's offenses. In fact, I believe Elder Jim McClain sent you a full dissertation, a full email as to what you've been doing out here. Me, myself, if you're referring to me, Dowell, you learned some of the more sensitive details of my previous marriage, right, with my ex-wife. Instead of getting the full story and full understanding, you rushed, I'm talking ran, sprinted into open format in front of all the congregation and literally put all of my private business out there. Somebody who's supposed to be in a position of leadership should never make decisions like that. Not unless it's something that is dire for everybody to be able to learn from. There's no reason why anybody should have known anything about that situation or that it actually took place. You were more concerned about talking about this, right, and exploiting the information, the business to everyone than you were concerned about my well-being. In fact, you're going to go on in this video to say that a brother who truly loves will help another brother if he's in his time of need. You didn't help me in my time of need, Dowell. My time of need, listen, you said that, nobody could help me. Now, I effectively moved and I got it done and I overcame that, right? With very little help from some of the brothers that's in Michigan, right? They helped where they could, but their hands were tied because Dowell put out the edict not to help, not to do anything for me, things like that. So my thing is this, right? The blatant disregard for privacy. You didn't show me any respect. You didn't show me any honor. You blasted my own stuff, and you've done it to many individuals. I'm not the only one. So, but if you're speaking about me, if that's one of the biggest things I can really bring to you right now, is that you chose to involve yourself in another man's private family matters. Later to find out that the woman that was being dealt with was probably not the most righteous woman. She's actually pretty wicked. In the situation that was taking place, she was being wicked. You find that out, and then you go and you plaster her face and her picture for all to see, and you bash her because you noticed that she went back to the world, went back to celebrating Christmas and all that other stuff and putting on makeup. And you put her picture up there and start blasting her. It's like, what involvement and direct? I didn't ask you to do any of this. I didn't ask you to get involved in this level. I didn't ask you to start letting everybody in the congregation know of what was going on in my private family matters. I didn't ask you to do it. You took it upon yourself. I believe that was extremely distasteful. I believe that was extremely disrespectful. And there was no need for you to have done that. But when your private life, when your things, the things that you've done wrong, when they're being blasted in open format, you don't like it. You don't like it very much. So I believe that is the Most High coming to give you what you've sown. You're reaping that. Just to think about it, right? The same guy who you exploited, who you made a spectacle of, right, in his private marriage, the same guy who you done that, and I supported you, regardless on what you gave me when I first met you. You gave me $300, Dowell, and you looked out for me big time. In return, I gave you thousands of dollars. On one occasion, I gave you $1,000 straight, but you've received thousands of dollars from me. Just that one act of kindness. And when I thought you were a man of humility, of character, it turned into a certain slander fest that I never agreed to. I never agreed to you doing that in open format. I think that you should remain out of people's private family business, because I'm not the only one you've done that to. I think you should refrain from starting drama and beef online, and you just go out your way to do that. You can ask Yaki. You just made him an enemy out of nowhere. You can ask Pete Rambo. You can ask Pastor Joe Fox. A lot of these individuals where you just blatantly, just honestly, abruptly, really, not even blatant, abruptly just made them enemies and started to bash them in open format. Geno Jennings. A lot of these individuals, you just want their following. Geno Jennings, you just wanted his following. You wanted his following. So you wanted to bash him for the things like divorce and remarriage, because a lot of these men don't want to be held under that, right? So they listen to you, and they've been enticed and influenced to listen to you because something they disagree with Geno about, which that's between them and Geno. But you went in on Geno Jennings in hopes that you'd gain his following as much as you can. So, my thing is this, right? Is that the truth is what the truth is always going to be. No one's actively giving you permission to speak on their private family matters. That's the reason why you had to remove my video, my testimonial video that I did with my ex-wife off of your channel, off of all of your associated channels, because I didn't give you permission to go out here and just blast all of that private information. You get to still earn an income, and you get to still make money off of something that I did. You get to still make money off of this. You get to still earn income off of somebody else's troubles, right? And that's the biggest thing, that I want to be sure that when I speak on these situations, that the next family that comes and that meets you here on YouTube or anywhere else can understand the possibility of their family being destroyed by you because of this public scrutiny, this public blasting, outing, whatever it may be. And then the advice that was given by Straightway to my ex-wife on how to deal with certain situations, even though that wasn't going without for very long. Even though she may have lied to you guys' face, and I don't want to bash her. She was lost during the time. She was under certain influences during the time. I don't want to bash her. I don't think that it would be healthy to do that. But at the time, she wasn't being guided very well by people, right? By certain so-called saints who were supposed to instruct her and encourage her to not only stick by my side, but to support me in what was going on until we can be able to do even better, right? Because it wasn't a lack of provisions. It wasn't a lack of. It wasn't the desire to not wanting to provide, right? When you move to a new city and you're planting roots into that city, it takes some time. Sometimes you might have a few setbacks, but then that setback, you got to come back stronger. Well, setback. And if your people understood how to handle situations like that, instead of causing conflict and separation between the families, you would seek to unite and unify and strengthen that marriage rather than go out here and publicly broadcast the pain, the struggles, whatever's going on. Not only that, running with something that was a complete lie. It wasn't the truth. It wasn't my fault. It was your fault. Elder Becker said that he informed you of what the truth really was. You never came and corrected yourself, Dowell. You just ran with the lie and kept the lie there until you've noticed the truth really did reveal itself. Then you decided to plaster her video up there on your TV and bash her. Bash my ex-wife, the mother of my children. If anybody was going to talk about that situation, it should have been me. You should have respected me enough to give me the space to speak about it openly, privately, publicly, whatever it may be. You didn't respect me. You didn't respect the space. You didn't respect the sacredness of that marriage and how you should stay out of it completely. But I'm not the only one you've done this to. You've done worse to other individuals in their marriage and their wives. So if you're speaking in regards to me, Dow, and saying taking on other people's offenses, no, I don't have an offense. I've made peace with the fact that you would never really accept any real accountability for the things that you've done, for publicly speaking on my private family matters without my consent at all, right? And then bashing the mother of my children without my consent at all, right? Just willingly doing it for yourself, for your views, for your clicks, for your ratings, for your congregation, to make yourself seem like you're more of a man than others. Whatever your goal was, you pursued it, and it wasn't because anybody needs to learn. It was because you just wanted to talk about it. So, when you're considering other people and you're saying that they're taking on somebody else's offense, it'll really behoove you to actually investigate where the person lies as to why they're so passionate about speaking truths about you while you're telling lies about others. Ooh, I feel like that I had a lot to say there, but I believe that it needed to be said, y'all. It needed to be said. I don't believe that needed to be held back. I believe that needed to be said. Let's continue. We're gonna finish this up here.
And it's just crazy. But the book is true. The book is true because when you have people that, for instance, they it's very tempting when you're in a leadership position and you're dealing with a lot of this money, all this money, and you're dealing with choices and decisions and stuff. Pride can easily come in upon you and make you think you're something when you're nothing. That's the reason why I would often frequent these communities and stuff, because I would go and see exactly what was going on. I could tell spiritually. And even when I opened up the door to actually speak to some of the people, and I would ask them, hey, you got anything? You got any concerns, anything like that? Oh, no. And I have to try to comprehend what kind of spell are the people under when you've got something you want to say, but you don't say it when you have the opportunity. I had one brother tell me I was an emasculated man. He told me this in Straightway, Georgia. I was an emasculated man and didn't even know it. And I said, I shook my head. I spoke with the brother after that, and now these brothers are strong. But a lot of people out there, man, they are diablos, they're deceivers, they're persuaders. They know how to persuade your mind and persuade your conscience in such a manner, in such a way, to make you think and to get you to think one way when it's really the other way. But again, if you're going to be a leader of an organization, my advice is this, is that you vet these leaders real close. And it would behoove you to do a background check. I never did do that. People do it on me all the time.
So my thing is this, y'all, and y'all heard what he just said. I'm not concerned about anything else he has to say in this video. Y'all go check it out. But my thing is this, y'all, is that he says, of course, checking in on these people at these communities and saying, hey, y'all got anything y'all need to talk about? And him opening up the door to be able to have an open door policy with these individuals. Listen, you got to understand, and I think that we all know that so-called open door policy is a facade. It is not something that is tangible. It's not something that is real, because the moment that somebody speaks up or speaks out about anything that's going on is the moment that you are labeled to be a problem. You are labeled to be somebody who's contentious. You're labeled to be somebody who is unruly, or who is butthurt, who's all these other things, but you have not been labeled as being somebody who spoke up. So while you're doing this open door policy and checking in, so what's going on? You said that you discerned. Why didn't you discern of all these years? All these years, you said that you go and discern things. You ain't discerned nothing. You thought everything was fine. Other people were saying everything was fine, even though they may have been suffering because of the simple fact that they tell you that something's wrong and they live in this community, that they themselves would have the toughest time because you're not going to be there to defend them. You're not going to be there to stand in the gap. You're going to pass it off to the leader of that community. And guess what? That leader of that community is going to be the one to condemn that person, to tear them down, just as Kabir did to Jordan. While he was up there parading him in front of everybody in the community, talking bad about him in front of everybody. He had to just sit there and take it. So while you're talking and you're saying these things, these people are not safe in these communities. Just because you say, hey, you got anything, it don't mean that they gonna want to open themselves up to talk and discuss the problems that they're having in the community with you. It just means that they know, hey, I got to be sure they've already been mentally trained to not say anything, to not reveal certain things to you. You know why? Because you're not going to care enough. You're not going to handle it appropriately. You're going to pass it off to whoever you feel you need to pass it off to. The same people who are perpetuating the evil is the same people that you're having handle these situations. And nothing will effectively get done, but the person who's speaking up and being brave enough to say, hey, something's wrong here, are the same ones that's going to suffer when you're not around, when you're not checking into the situation, when you just passed it off and walked on and went on about your business. They swept it under the rug, and then now they're really coming down heavy on this individual who spoke up. Like I said, prime example is Jordan, brother Jordan. He spoke up, and look at where he at now. Look at what's going on with him now. Look what took place after he did that. He was made a target. He wasn't made somebody who was standing on business, standing on righteousness. No, he was targeted because he spoke up in regards to this fictitious contract you guys drew up. So if you really got the questions down, that's the true answer. You just got to take the time out to actually listen. Use your ears. What does it say in the scriptures? That what? You need to be quick to what? Quick to hear and slow to speak. You should be listening, not just trying to talk about it. All right, let's go and dive into these comments a little bit, y'all, and then we're going to go ahead and land this plane. Man, I appreciate y'all rocking with me this long. Listen, we've been going in, man. We've been going in, and I had to cover a lot of these topics, so they are wicked. Yes, they are very. Straightway appears to operate like the Catholic Church. Confess to them, and they will use it when you leave. Yeah, confess to them. If you confess to them, yeah, they'll use it when you leave. Absolutely. When you're going through some of the toughest times, it's obvious that they're not going to want to pick you up. I mean, it's obvious. They're not going to want to be a true brother in that sense, right? If you got something that they want, especially like I don't know what the situation was at that time, and I truly didn't understand why blast my private information out to everybody. It made no sense to me. But you can definitely say that you can't trust them with that information, right? Whereas to where you'll go to a Christian church and at least a pastor will try to counsel you and your wife, right? And try to get you guys to work out your differences. Whereas to where you get the complete total opposite from a man who claims to be the shepherd, right? Who claims to be the shepherd, right? Complete opposite. He's looking to seeking to do things that divide and separate even more so. Make the matter that's already bad, make it worse by blasting it out there for all to hear, then blasting somebody's face up there and you know, blasting her for her decision to go back to the world. You know, it just is what it is. It wasn't nothing but poor communication, poor advice coming from people that were a part of your ministry, poor guidance, all of that, right? Instead of saying, hey, you need to make this thing work with him, it's come and pick her up. and take her where she need to go type of situation. Now, a lot of people, individuals who are directly involved with Straightway had a hand to play in those decisions. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things, right? Making memories, new photos of Nelly. That's funny. Yeah, I definitely want to see that, man. You're gonna have to share that joint, man. I because I have not yet seen what everybody's been talking about in regards to the Marco Polo situation. Yeah, for sure. Where is Yoga Yoga at? Let's get Nelly's vacation photo. Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see. Trust the Most High. Seek the Spirit. You will be given understanding. If you're seriously seeking, that's true. 110%. Absolutely. Don't let anyone intimidate you. That's facts. That's facts. That equals cap. Yeah, because they are capping. They are capping when they say that. Don't let anybody intimidate you. Yeah, no. They're going to be intimidated, especially when they come to Dowell and nothing gets done. The only thing that happens is that they get worse punishments and they get treated worse. All that other stuff, that's the only thing that takes place. But you went and took it over to Dow or you took it to somebody else in leadership, man, they ain't going to do nothing. They're going to, listen, sweep it under the rug. Hey, you need to handle this. And you're going to get treated like absolute trash. They doing it now. They're doing it now. You're going through that now. His open door policy is a front. That's right. That's true, though. But bless y'all, man. We're going to go ahead and land this plane here, man. I appreciate y'all joining me here for the Warsheep Podcast. Listen, don't forget to like this video, this live stream, okay? And don't forget to comment and subscribe, right? And holler back at your boy, right? And holler back at your boy. You already know I'm like trying to work the camera. I want to be sure that we got it. We got what we need, right? But just remember, somewhere in the future, we all are healed. You are healed. You got to understand, you're restored somewhere in your future. If you are not restored right now, you will be, right? Just continue to stand on truth, speak on truth, and speak on the facts. Don't allow anything to hinder you or stop you from doing so. Like I said, my testimony, my experience, I'm using that to better others, especially if they have a family and they looking to join this particular cult-like ministry. Listen, they can be able to learn from my experience what to do and how to move. Now I can be a blessing to you. It's through the pain. It's through the experience. That's the only way I can be able to part ways with wisdom and give you something that may bless and save and keep your family tight-knit. As always, peace and love to you all, honestly, right? Let's get to this unity thing. And like I said, don't forget to share this live stream, like, comment, and subscribe. Holler back at your boy. We'll see you guys in the next stream, all right? Bless you. Peace and shalom, shalom.